lied to the police and I'd do it again, but not for the reason you think. I sat in the principal's office with Ms. Shipman, my homeroom teacher, Principal Schaefer, and Officer Briggs. Ms. Shipman stood by the door like she was guarding it while the principal sat behind his desk with his arms folded across his chest. Officer Briggs, the campus police officer, sat in one of the leather chairs opposite me with his notepad open and a concerned frown on his face. Your teacher had some concerns, he began, tapping his pen against his notepad. She saw bruises on your arms and you've been absent a lot lately. I shrugged, heart racing in my chest. I'm clumsy, I muttered, and I've been really sick, a fever and everything. Ms. Shipman made a small noise of disbelief in the back of her throat and I stiffened but ignored her. Officer Briggs nodded like he'd heard it all before. We just want to help, he said sincerely. Can you tell me anything else about your injuries? I shrugged, but even that movement had me wincing in pain. I'm fine, I grumbled, and I already told you the truth. I kept my eyes on him so he could see the sincerity in my gaze. I must not have been convincing though because he looked unconvinced. Officer Briggs retrieved a brown folder from his shoulder bag and pulled out a piece of paper, showing it to me. It was a picture of my arm, bruises lining my elbow. Ms. Shipman took the picture last week, he told me. You told her you fell off your bike, but you don't have a bike. We followed up on that lead and it got us nowhere. My hands were sweating and shaking as I stared at Briggs. My eye was starting to twitch, but I said nothing. He sighed in exasperation and produced another piece of paper with a text thread between me and my best friend. He's getting worse. Can I come stay with you? I have to bring Jason. Briggs frowned. Who's Jason? He asked. I shook my head, mouth suddenly dry and fingers twitching at my sides. I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. This couldn't be happening. Briggs shook his head. We talked to your neighbors, he continued. They heard a man yelling and things smashing. I shrugged. My mom's boyfriend watches football and gets loud sometimes, I answered. Briggs was getting frustrated with my answers. Someone heard you screaming a few days ago, he said. I stubbed my toe, I answered. It hurt like hell. He shook his head at me. Someone called in an anonymous tip the other day, he said. They said a man was spotted dragging you into the house by your hair. That was when you sent this text to your best friend. We talked to her about it. She said you've been having trouble at home. I was panicking. Sweat fell from my forehead and pain radiated through my body as I held myself stiffly. Briggs softened his voice as he looked at me. We can help you, he said quietly. If someone is hurting you, we can help and make sure they never hurt you again. The words sounded too good to be true, but as I stared at the officer, I found myself believing him. Then I thought about Jason. He was only 9 and he refused to sleep in his own bed because he was too scared. But then I thought about the foster system. They rarely keep siblings together. There was no way I was getting separated from Jason. I couldn't be away from my little brother. And if that meant living in that house with my mom's abusive boyfriend for a little while longer, then I would do that for my brother. I had already called my aunt who lived a few states away. She was my dad's younger sister and was filing for emergency custody of us. The paperwork wouldn't clear for another few weeks. We just had to be patient. I stared at the officer, no emotion on my face as I continued my lie. Nothing is wrong, I said in a robotic tone. Like I said before, my mom's boyfriend watches football and is loud, but he's never touched me or my little brother. We're fine. Briggs watched me for another moment before finally nodding. Here's my card if anything changes, he said quietly. I took the card and scurried out of the office without a backward glance. Weeks later, Aunt Rachel came to the house with the paperwork signed by a judge. She picked us up and we headed to her place where I continued the last 2 years of high school. Jason slept in his own bed and he had nothing to be afraid of. I would lie again if that meant keeping my brother with me.